rejected resistance over here. Let's bring this up.
Have you gone live on YouTube?
As of this moment, yes.
Okay.
Yep, perfect. Let me get this things sorted out here. Zoom chat goes here. Okay, perfect. Good morning, guys, in the YouTube. Let me minimize the zoom, else I can't see anything. Oh. Alright, perfect. Let's start off with some fresh analysis here on pound yen. So let's start with pound yen, delete every... Oh wait, this is gold, I'm so sorry. Let's delete everything on pound yen and start from the weekly. We see yesterday kind of closed bearish. Today it looks like a doji. We filled the weekly wick. We came up to create a top wick. Pretty indecisive price action on the weekly time frame. We see that we created a support down over here at like 149,900. We're gonna put down a yellow line for visual representation, and if we break below this support, it seems like, you know, the next target or support can be like at 148,800, so like 110 pip range over here. It's pretty big. On the daily, we also see that we have this resistance formed, so let's put a line through that, and let's look at this information from lower time frames. So on the lower time frames, it seems like we've got this resistance over here on the 4-hour, and we need to break. I would say for buys, I think we need to break above 150.735. For sells, I think we can, looking at it like this, I think we can you know, sell within the range to hit the support, because when price is ranging, let me annotate. Where's the annotation tools? Gone. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen on Zoom. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Okay, perfect. Now I have my annotation tools, because we know that when price is in a range, it goes from support to resistance, down to support again, and then from resistance, from support to resistance. So we see we're at resistance. So technically, theoretically, we should hit this support over here, and potentially with volume, we can even break below it and maybe continue lower. So let's clear this chart, these things off the chart. Perfect. If we take a look, so we've got about, on the 4-hour, we've got about a 47.50 pip range. So that's pretty good. If we look on the 1-hour, we see that 1-hour rejected resistance over here. Let's bring this up a little bit. Rejected resistance over here. We came down, we formed a support right here. So perfect. We've got this support established over here during after London Open, and we've got this current 1-hour going bearish, trying to break below this support. And what we see is that there's another support, other rejections about 15 pips away. So we're gonna mark those down very thinly, because we expect these issues over here to break with volume. So let's take a look at the 30-minute. So 30-minute is kind of closing like this. We see that there's an issue over there, and I think if the 30-minute can close below 150.300, I think you're gonna see some people taking sells on pound yen to come down to about 150, 150 to and ultimately the 4-hour support. So how is the Gulag doing today? We've got some questions. No Zoom today. The Zoom is open, if you guys can see it right there.
I have just posted it in the Slack.
Oh yeah, perfect. That's really good.
Yeah, no wonder, like, the Zoom was just constant.
Oh yeah, let me. So the New York people in Slack have the Zoom link, right?
Yeah, I've just posted that up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for handling that. I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, in GJ, I might look to enter at the close of this candle, just depending on how it closes.
Okay,
just
that's
on a
good.
small push. And, like, I know I'll be over trading for today, but I guess my third trade.
Yeah, I took a little sell on gold actually, but took a loss on that. We're gonna talk about that in a second. Let's focus on what's happening in pound yen over here. For the early bird people over here, we've got an
I'll be
interesting situation happening.
I'll be looking into if that creates a wick, top wick, and break off the its
Yeah, if,
lows and entry position because I'm like you analyzed. Oh no, don't run away just yet.
yeah. So,
Hello, hello, boys,
hello, man. Hello,
Hello,
Augustus.
brother.
and we about to hit take profit.
Nice. You're still in your cells.
Nice.
Let's
That's
go. No,
cool.
I wasn't in. I got hit at break even at the first,
Mm.
but then once this 15-minute candle closed, I went in straight away.
I see. That's good.
It made the top wick, and I was like, "Cool, I'm Gucci."
Yeah, the hourly is perfect to continue driving down and continue making the hourly body. So you
Mhm.
should see a big fat 1 hour candle, probably maybe coming down to about like 150 flat.
Yeah, even the daily's flipped now.
Yeah, indeed. Been
And that's what we've been talking about the whole morning.
yeah,
Whole
I
morning,
didn't
when
take it,
everyone was looking
man.
for the buys, we've been looking for the sells.
yeah.
And I'm happy somebody had the same perception on the chart.
True, true.
Full margin sells.
Now I got my 10 pips and happy days, boys. £450 for the day. I think it's good.
That's
Amazing,
great, man.
amazing. We
It's all
haven't.
about the vibe.
Yeah, man. We haven't even opened the stream here for longer than 10 minutes, and there's already a winning opportunity here. About 8, 9 pips over here. People are securing their profits. Whoever took this, I'm not in this trade. So now that we taken a look at GJ, let's do some top-down analysis on gold. I already secured a loss on gold, so I am absolutely done for the day today. Like, there's nothing that can happen that can get me to take a trade.
You took a loss on gold now.
Yeah, on this hourly confirmation here, we're going to take a look at it in a second. So we see that we're rejecting weekly resistance. We're kind of coming down to weekly support over here, and we're trading below weekly support. So if with volume, we can continue, in the coming days, potentially to continue driving down, fill these wicks. But that's might be a far-fetched idea. So let's take a look at the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, we see that there's this support at 123. So we're going to mark it down with a pretty little line, make it a visually pleasing. We see that the previous 4 hour closed with a wick to fill, and this 4 hour is driving down, so that's pretty interesting. Let's take a look at more information on the 1 hour. On the 1 hour, we see that we were ranging during London. After yesterday, after New York, it created a low after London closed and started ranging. We broke down during London, created this low, and now the previous 1 hour created a resistance. So we have this resistance created over here at let's call it 129 flat. If we take a look at
Are we on the stream, guys? Sorry.
Yes, we're
Okay.
live on YouTube.
Okay.
So what I did, I actually took a sell once the first 5 minutes of this candle went bullish and then started breaking, flipping bearish. I took a sell. I had about an 11 pip stop loss, and I guess price just tickled it, and it's now going back down. So I was in it from, right here.
Let me see your chart.
Yeah, I was in
Where?
I was in it from here. So for the gulag, I am not in this trade, guys. It got stopped out and everything. So it was once this candle flipped bearish. I had about 10. My stop loss was right at the high over there, and I guess this candle over there just wicked me out. But
Okay.
that was a little too early because there was no volume at that time. It was still 12, not 12:30. Volume starts to kick in around 12:30. So
Yeah. And I mean, the way it closed, it never closed below that 5-minute wick.
yeah, I was looking at that. There was this wick over here was acting as a support, which is that wick over there. But I anticipated that once it broke its own low, it would feel like the hourly wick, and then once it broke 1726 like it's doing right now over
Hmm.
there, then it would have been a clean like 20 pips to correct this clean traffic over here.
Okay, okay.
But yes, took a small loss on that. It's okay. It's whatever.
I mean, for GJ,
Hmm.
um, I don't think we're gonna see some sells anymore today.
Mm. Yeah, it had no
I think
top wick.
we did like everything we were supposed to do. Come down, create a bottom wick,
Hmm.
and then just shoot up from there.
Yeah, indeed. So I hope people secured their profits over here. And
Yeah, I
yeah.
fulfilled my target. That's what we've been speaking in London. I just want to hit that 250 level sort of daily lows to
Hmm.
make that bottom wick and then shoot up.
Yeah, indeed. It literally tapped that bottom wick, and now it's rejecting like hardcore.
Hmm. But that's what I said in regards to my MetaTrader. I always trust my MetaTrader
Hmm.
because if it doesn't have a top or bottom wick, it's gonna come down.
Hmm.
And
Indeed.
I've been sort of had a bad experience in regards to that. Sort of seeing TradingView has a bottom wick or a top wick, but my MetaTrader doesn't, and I execute the trade
Hmm.
in sort of in reversal to that. That as for example, like today, people took buys, but
Hmm.
we had no bottom wick,
Yeah, indeed.
and before I had that sort of experience that I just lose the trade,
Hmm.
and then I see the price coming back and make my bottom wick on my MetaTrader. So what I learned is just, if there's no bottom wick or top wick, I'm not gonna take a trade in that direction. And if I miss a move, I miss a move.
Hmm. Yeah, I needed to relax, because what
Yeah.
we saw, it was also for me, like I came to the charts and it wasn't very clear. Like we had this 1 hour support resistance over here, and then on the 30 minute it's all the way up there. So I'm like, and then the 4 hour there was a zone over here, and we see this over here and that. So I'm like, what the hell is
Hmm.
going on here? And I just
Yeah.
wasn't comfortable executing in the buying direction.
Because we never close. You see that rejection on the left hand side of 800. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we never closed above that zone.
Mm, true.
So I said for the buys, I want to see a new higher high.
Hmm.
So if we can create a new higher high, we can potentially then retest that level that we broke through
Hmm.
and then push further up, right? But yeah.
Yeah, something like that, and then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
doji,
Yeah.
and then like a support formed over here. That would have been ideal.
Amazing.
And then
Like that's the perfect trade scenario, right?
yeah, then take buy from here to here.
But you don't have that bottom wick on a daily.
Hmm.
And if at the end of the London session we pushed hard, so directional buyers just shifted
Hmm.
from
True.
bullish to bearish. But we just needed that little deeper retest to 500 level, which we did,
Hmm.
and then we start dropping. Obviously, I had myself before, and I got stopped at break even because I was like 6.5 pips up. So I just didn't want to lose those profits.
Mm.
And then when this opportunity arose, so I could see the same that we had on the weekly, we did on the hourly. And once we closed on a 15-minute, we just came back into the range.
Hmm.
And when we made the top wick, I was like, okay, I'm getting in. My stop loss is gonna be like 10 pips, reasonable. It was like nearly above the 15-minute candle open.
Hmm.
And if it comes up, I'm just gonna manage risk. So, but it had to make that bottom wick.
Yeah, exactly. It's always because if you look at the other candles, it's like 95% of them have top and bottom wicks. So if one doesn't and it's still open, then it's kind of like a dead giveaway of what's gonna happen, what could happen. But yeah, let's see. So we're gonna start taking a look at some charts over here. So for the Gulag, get your charts ready. Also the Zoom. So yeah, gold should be an easy move down to 1723, 1724.5, and then beyond that, it's a pretty strong support. So anything could happen really. Could go all the way back up to 1745. Could break below it, go all the way down to like 1700 flat. We don't know yet. But if it starts breaking below 1723, 1722, oh boy, it's got like what, 150 pip range over here. So Let's see if let's start taking a look at some charts here on from the Gulag. So let's go from all the way from the top of the chat. We've got the first chart from Martin over here. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. This is GBP USD 30-minute 4-hour resistance. We've got a support over here and an arrow pointing down. That seems pretty good. If price can break below 1.37300, you got clean traffic and with volume can continue down. So it seems pretty good. Let's see if we can find other chart. Where is Raja? He's in Pakistan, guys. What to do when you get 5-6 pips in profit and you don't want to lose that profit, but it's too early to put on break even? Well, I guess you manage risk if it comes back to break even. You close 50%, maybe 70, 80%, 90%, whatever you're comfortable with, and you leave a small position running. Got a chart over here from Manish. Please have a look. I think mine and your chart look different. Oh, okay. That's pretty good to compare charts. Let's have a look why they look different. Oh, yeah, that is pretty different. You've got some lines over here, some EMAs, whatever this is. Yeah, nice. It's a nice painting over there. All right.
Man, what's he looking at? I don't even know what he's looking at.
I don't know, man.
What his idea is. Like, there's nothing there, bro.
No, like, are you looking for buys, sells? Yeah, it makes sense. I mean,
like, yeah, you've got some like averages and MACDs, but
yeah, I don't know what to do with
what
this
about
information. Exactly. So maybe next time you can kind of put some detail on it. I'll show you guys my chart from the London session. This is kind of what we expect over here from you guys. You see, so this is my chart. Look at this. We go from over here. It's labeled 1. Price was moving up during Asia, blah, blah, blah. Then we go to point 2. There's arrows pointing exactly to, the things that are specified here, Got arrows, very clear. Got point 3. We see that, this and that. I mean, this is very clear. I can send this to a 5-year-old, maybe a 10-year-old, and they'd understand. So this is kind of what we expect from you guys in the Gulag. What do you think about GU? I think we saw a chart from GU. We can do some fresh analysis on it, maybe. Yeah, it's from Albano Z. Let's do some fresh analysis for our friend Albano Z. He's a hardcore. Yeah, he's a big fan of ours. So GBP USD. Let's do some top-down analysis. So weekly was bearish. This week is going bullish. Let's investigate why it's going bullish. And it seems like it's going bullish because daily's at support. Perfect. So daily filled the wick. It's now daily's coming back bearish. Let's go take a look at more information on the 4-hour. And we see daily is coming back bearish because it's respecting this 4-hour resistance. So if we're respecting a 4-hour resistance and we're approaching a 4-hour support, can we expect this support to maybe break? Or not expected, but let's see if we can break this support. Yeah, so this seems pretty good. We're rejecting resistance, so if we can get a candle to close below 1.37200, then we've got a whole 30 pips of clean traffic. And if you get a candle closing above, let's see the range, it's 16, 17 pips. You might want to wait for like some support to form above, because it seems like the bias is rather bearish. Because daily, came up, and we see many rejections on the daily time frame. So there's a good probability that we might break this support over here, but we need a candle to close below it. So that's the analysis on GU. Trade XRP? I don't think so. Let's check this chart. Potential buys above 0.50 to the resistance and 0.800 pound yen. That's also an option over there that you have. You can take, this seems like, you know, an important level over here too. So if price does start breaking up, then you can take potential buys over here in a 25 pip range. But you have to keep in mind this is a 4-hour resistance that we've rejected in London, so we don't know. You also have this issue over here on the 4 hours, so that's kind of an uncertain range over here. Please have a look again, maybe this explained better. Oh, perfect. I hope, let's see. It's the same chart from earlier, but hopefully there's more explanation. Perfect, look at this. This low is different from the low of the recent 30-minute low. On your chart, this low was the same as the previous low. Oh, like you mean that it's a few pips lower? But yeah, I think that's to do with the liquidity. So look at this. Oh, oops, that's the wrong button. So you see how here it says Awanda? That's a liquidity provider. On my chart, I use let me clear these arrows and get the arrow here. I use FXCM. So if your chart is different, then you probably want to type in like GBP JPY and then get the one that says FXCM. You know, that's the that's the one we use. Oh, perfect. We got some charts from the Zoom as well. Let's take a look at them. We've got pound yen 30-minute minor support. Would like to see a good 30-minute bearish close below here. Potential 40 pip range. Clean candles here would make sells valid in my opinion. If we get a clean close below. Yes, that's beautiful. That's the bias over here is to see if we can continue down to hit 149, 800, 900. That's kind of the idea. Entered a sell after the long 30-minute candle formed. Expected money set up but got stopped out. Price never really went into profits, but now it would have been. I was too early or just unlucky. So I took this sell as well on gold. So let's break it down so that we can both learn from it. We can kill two birds with one stone here. So I'm gonna guess that you took a sell. Well, I took a sell in this 30-minute candle. It went up in the first 5 minutes. It had no bottom wick. So once it started flipping bearish, I took a sell when it flipped bearish, and I expected it to continue driving down to create its body. But what ended up happening was that it flipped bearish and then went back up to hit the stop loss, and then it went down. So and the reason that happened was because if we take a look at the time that we took this sell was taken at exactly 12 o'clock my time, and pre-New York volume starts at 12:30. So you can already see the size of this 15-minute candle. There's a 13, 14 pip candle. This candle over here was just an 8 pip candle. So I think we were just a little too early over there. We needed to wait for the session to start. That's what happened. Yeah,
all right, Master. Have a good New York session, man. I'm heading off. Need to get some breakfast.
Hey, thank you, man. Have a good breakfast.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow in London.
Take it easy, man.
Take care. So, I like buys for today. Cleaner traffic to the high side and making higher highs. Let's take a look at this chart. From the Zoom, sells, this is pound yen 1 hour. Sells below 150, 130, and buys above. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So buys above oh, so many charts. Yeah, we just discussed that. Buys above this level, can be reasonable with a 25 pip range, except then you do have, this 4-hour issue over here. So I think sells are just going to happen much cleaner than buys. Looking for sells below 1722 on gold, but waiting for the news to come to see how gold reacts. Oh, good that you mentioned that. We should take a look at news. Because I think I saw some USD news. Today is Tuesday, right? Oh yeah, look at that. So we have CPI for the USD and core CPI coming out 30 minutes after New York Open. So that. Oh, that's a pretty good question from Davidoff92. How do you decide when to leave full positions run in drawdown, and when do you reduce risk? So I think that comes down to experience. Here on gold, I sort of left my full position to run to stop loss because firstly, there was no real way to manage risk, right? So if we look at the 5-minute, I entered over here. Once gold broke its own low, I had a 10 pip stop loss, and that it went 4 pips in profit, and the next candle started coming up, and at that point there's no real place to manage risk. Maybe once this candle broke the high over there, but then that's only a couple pips distance. So then you can you either look at the 5-minute or you just accept that it is what it is. Because if you're going to secure a full stop loss, then that means your target also needs to be bigger, at least like 1.5 to 2 to 1. Because if you're like getting 2 to 1 and you have 50% win rate, then you're still profitable. Because you're winning twice what you're losing in the long term. Oh, what's this? Oh, somebody in the gulag overtraded and now they're not trading for the whole week. Perfect. That's pretty good discipline. So if the Zoom wants to hop on here as well, you're welcome to join. If you want to discuss something.
Must be. And also,
Yes.
just an analysis, right? Anything above that, what would you say to buys above 490?
Over here at 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
490, 500, yeah, that zone.
I think they
To
can
mirror that clean
clean
candle
candle
upstairs, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Just a
that.
trading idea.
Yeah, I think that can work as a potential buying idea. Because if you do take a look at it, it is sort of overall respecting the swing structure. But I think, like I mentioned before, you do have in between. You have like this 4-hour where the 4-hour closes and the next one opens. Yeah, which is right about there. So you might see some kind of issues over here, which limits your profit, because then the range goes from 25 to all of a sudden 8, and then you got another range from 8 to like 15. So that becomes tricky.
So ideal sells for GJ would be below 150.
Yes, I think sells below 150, 150, 200 can work out pretty nicely.
Okay, so it's just a little patient day then in GJ for me. Well, you have to be patient any day, but okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a patience day over here, because it gave a confirmation here, but now it's rejecting, so we don't know what's going to happen at this point.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're happy to help.
So I just hopped on YouTube and there's only 72 likes. Can we like get more likes on the stream though?
Yeah, we didn't call out the winning trade yet. Or well, we
I
did.
swear I thought it went within 10 minutes. I know I was a little bit late, but it wasn't that late.
Yeah, true. We did have a little win over here, but I guess 100 likes, 500 views, that's a little off, guys. The ratio isn't quite there. Yeah, I'm exhausted today as well. I took a loss in London right here, price rejected, and then boom, smashed all the way down. Then took a loss on gold, and now I'm just exhausted. I don't want, I don't want anything to do with any more trades today.
Someone in YouTube chat is saying, "Happy Ramadan, happy Ramadan, mate."
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was yesterday, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Let's take a look at this chart from the Gulag. What's this? This is Euro AUD 15 minute. After 30-minute close above the zone, then I am anticipating price to move bullish, potential target of 15 pips. Okay, yeah, so you want this current 15-minute to keep closing above, and then you can fill this whole range over here. That is pretty valid idea. 4 hour close bearish, structure is bullish, 1 hour failing to break the structural low. Yeah, so I think this is a perfect idea to fill this range over here, because you know what's going to happen. I think this move down here was just a higher time frame pullback. So if we can break above this resistance, then it can continue the overall higher time frame trend, right? Let's see. Oh yeah, happy Ramadan to Raja. He celebrates that. He's not on the stream though, but I'm sure he's gonna do something special. Oh yeah, let me fix the YouTube title. You're right. There we go, the YouTube title is correct. Yeah, Gulag has become international for the streams now at this point. Everybody knows what we're talking about. Yeah, so let's see. There's nothing much happening today other than the USD news. Tomorrow, Fed Powell speaks. Let's check this trade that Matteo took over here from the Gulag. Oh. Oh, nice. You caught those sells. Entry once 30-minute candle closed below support. Closed every price came 1.5 pips away from TP. Closed 50% at break even. Closed everything once price was closing above the support and not rejecting it. Oh, yeah. So I see what happened there. You took a sell and price didn't quite tap your take profit, and you closed 50% at break even. I think that's really disciplined of you. I think maybe what you could have done, because this went so far into profits, is probably just closed everything at break even. Because, you know, if you miss your take profit by 1.5 pips, that's more or less the spread. So what you could have done was maybe put the stop loss at break even and then seen if you can give it a second chance at some point later on. But yeah, I think it was a really good idea of you to close the full trade 50% at break even and then full positions at once this 15-minute closed bullish. I think that was a perfect way to manage the trade. Sells on gold, yeah, that's the bias. So bias is sells unless we start breaking above this 1729. Then if we do start breaking above 1729, then we can say that overall we're starting to respect this super strong support at 1723. So that's what we're looking for on gold. Yeah, there's some static noise. but that's okay. You can hear me just fine. Why volume is low these days? Let me try speaking closer to the mic. For pound yen, if you wake up early around 5:30 UK time, you can always get a better entry. 5:30 UK time, I think that's still rather early. But yeah, I know a lot of people take entries in towards Asia session and leave them running into London. Just wondering if you can put music. I guess the white noise is becoming irritating, so no one talking. Yeah, that's true. It's a pretty quiet stream. Let me put on some music from the library here. YouTube library. Looking to take sells either on the bearish close or if the wick breaks below. Okay, let's take a look at this chart. So one lower lows and lower highs formed from the recent high. Yes. Oh, what's going on? Bearish momentum approaching support, looking for bearish close below support, lower upper and lower wicks. The previous bearish candle.
GJ just melted.
Oh,
Yeah.
what? Oh, wow. What happened here? Damn.
I was looking at that. It's a clear range. Like my sales were like valid from like 151, 150, but I don't like the impulsive would have been risky. So I think for those who haven't caught anything, just wait for a retest or something. And if you don't get it, then too bad.
Oh, that's crazy. Did this move in 2 minutes over here? Look at it go.
And look at the one now. It has like no wick at the top.
Wow.
Wow.
Straight down to 149,800. What a move. Crazy.
And it's still just melting. Holy.
Yeah,
Nice.
once this hourly closed over here, that was pretty good confirmation to continue lower. Maybe once it broke the low. But damn, that happened so quickly.
Look at that go, man.
But that's just making the daily wick, like you were saying in Augustus.
Yeah, indeed. Now
So watch out, that's the thing.
yeah, and take a look at the daily over here. This is pretty neat. Almost looks like it came down to create a low resistance. Today, it pulled back a little harder than expected, and now it's going bearish. I think if it breaks below, so I think we were talking about this, how there's, oh wow, look at it come down
What
to
the
support.
hell?
Keeps smooth, man.
That's crazy. So now we hit 149,800, so I guess the horns can come out. Let's get some horns over here. I don't know if anybody caught that.
No, that was very small. I couldn't hear it at all.
Yeah, I think on the YouTube you can hear that for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on Zoom you can't. But yeah, I think there's a good probability that we can break below this range. So if people got runners running, oh boy, you guys are gonna be eating.
Mitch, did you catch it, mate?
No, unfortunately, I didn't. I was looking at the gold chart.
Oh. Did anyone in Zoom catch it?
I was
You're
waiting
too
for a
fast,
close.
yeah.
I was waiting for a close below 0.15, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think everybody was waiting for that close.
No top wick on a 30-minute either. It just literally flew.
Yeah, I think
Flying still.
I'm looking at Instagram. That guy Sean Lee, he caught that on 50 lots. He's in
Wow.
sales since his first sell on GJ is
Up
150,700.
150.700.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. 150.7. Oh, he took it right there. Yeah, sneaky little guy. I was taking sells over here.
And he has 200 lots on US 30. I mean,
Nice. Yeah, let's
Whatever, man.
not talk about
yeah, no,
People
but
that we don't talk about.
but still, I mean, props to everybody who caught
Yeah.
sales today because they were not easy.
yeah, no, they really weren't that easy. They look easy, but no. But I think once this 1 hour closed below the most recent support, we discussed how, this is a daily. daily flipping area. So those zones, from what my experience, I've been taking a close look at this points where if candles flip bullish to bearish or whatever after creating a top wick, these zones over here, they should break. They should break pretty cleanly. That's something I've been looking at in the past, I think 2 weeks, 1 week. So let's see what price does over here. If it can form a support and then retest maybe 150, 200 to continue lower, that's going to be beautiful. And now the weekly should like be filling the wick over here. And if it breaks this wick, it can come down, fill this whole range, 100 pip range. Gold. Ooh, look at that. Oh, wow. Yeah, so we were discussing this on gold just a second ago before GJ melted. We were talking how, 153 is a 153, what am I saying? 1723 is a super strong support. I mean, it's been respected countless days, like, wait, let's do this. So it's been respected for like 33 days, a whole month. That's crazy. And now we're coming down to it and we have two options. We're either going to break below it or reject from it. I mean, price only goes up or down, right? So the idea was to fill this 4-hour wick over here once the hourly candle created a resistance, or actually even before that, to be honest. Yeah, once resistance was formed, the idea was to fill the 4-hour wick down to this low, and potentially, since we tried to break above and couldn't, so maybe potentially there's a higher probability to break lower, right? If we tried to break above and it came back in the range, there's a good probability it can break lower. But if we're gonna start trading above, 1729, then we can say that this very strong support down here is gonna be respected. And I'm gonna mute everybody. Okay, yeah, everybody in the Zoom is muted over there. You guys can unmute yourselves if you want. But yeah, if we're going to start breaking above 1729, then we can say, okay, 1723 is going to be respected, and we can start maybe heading up in a counter trend fashion.
Master P, can
Yes.
you take a look? Can you take a quick look at US 30?
Oh yeah, let's take a look at US 30 over here. US 30. I think it's this one, currency.com.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Let's do some analysis on US 30. I've never done an analysis on US 30 before. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. So weekly, pretty bullish. Daily closed like a doji, sort of creating resistance. Today we broke the high, trading below it, approaching a support down here. So buy it. The trend is very much bullish, but it seems like it's in a pullback phase. Yeah, this candle, we have a support over here. So this is like a daily 4-hour support and then a daily target over here. Perfect. On the 1 hour, we see that, yeah, crazy. Price broke below this minor support area over here, and then sells. People probably took sells down to this support, 50 pip, 50 point range. I think that's $50 range over there. I think if we start creating resistances in this range, we can probably, come down to holy, what is the number? 33,398. Let's call it 33,400.
But that drop looked big too. That's why I was just like,
Oh yeah, I mean, from over here, that's a $150 drop. You can't. I don't know what the pip value of US 30
I have
is.
no idea.
Must be pretty high. I think it must be the same as gold, because gold is also calculated in dollars and not pips. But yeah, I'm really curious. This is going to be a very interesting idea here on gold. If it starts to break above, 1729, we can potentially correct this clean traffic over here back up to 1735 500, which is about 50 pips, 60 pips. Let's take a look at some charts. Just wondering if you can. Oh yeah, let's put some music on. I forgot about that. So does Luke have a playlist? No. So how's the music in the gulag? 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 How's the gulag? Loud. Okay, the music is loud. Oh my god. DJ Master P. Yeah, I was having the YouTube play, and the YouTube was like hearing themselves. You know, it's like Inception. It's like Inception here, but then with audio. Yeah, so we got that Raja music, Raja tunes. Oh, let's take a look at this chart.
Everybody's like DJ Master P.
Yeah. Is the music still too loud?
I mean, you can hear the music pretty loud,
Yeah,
clear, but I don't know.
Is it like too louder than my voice? Else I can do something about that. Music, it's okay. No, it's too loud. Not loud. Rip ears. Yes, louder than you. Turn it down, please. But this is the lowest that it's on, technically. It's the lowest. Let me see something. Nah, guys, what you talking about, man? The music was pretty good. I can turn it down in OBS a little bit over here, and then let me have it playing again. Yeah, it's pretty good like this, guys. Relax. Okay. Okay, we got a chart from David Johnson. David Johnson sent a chart. This is pound yen 15, entry candle closure above resistance on the 15. Okay, 1-to-1 hit. Oh, nice. That's pretty nice. That was like a counter trend buy over there. That's pretty good. I think it was a little tricky because price didn't quite well close above, but you made it work, so that's good. Oh, that's a good question from Robert. What do I expect from GJ on the weekly and monthly time frame? So on the weekly, I kind of expect, we see that the weekly is sort of starting to range in a way, where it created a resistance and it's trying to come down to support, right? So it created this resistance over here, let me get my arrows. So I created this resistance over here, and we've got this support over here. So it's in this range, and we should, I think within this week we're gonna come down to this wick, fill the wick to the left, and then after that, I'm not sure if it's gonna keep going or if it's gonna bounce back up and things like that. But I'm gonna show you guys something really cool here. I'm gonna show you something that probably not you haven't seen yet, and this is called a 3-month chart. This is called a 3-month chart. So you can kind of get sort of like some ideas of what the market can do. So we see based on the 3 months, we're kind of at a 3-month resistance. That's why price is finally rejecting after going bullish for so many weeks. We see the weekly coming bearish, and if we can start breaking above this 153 level on the 3 months chart, then we'll see a lot of bullish market. But currently we're a very strong resistance. That's why we see bearish weekly candles here and not down here.
Master P,
Yes.
Can you pull up the monthly charts?
Monthly, yes.
So if you look to the left, yeah, exactly that level. So what you would expect from that level, being a strong level, you would maybe expect that bottom wick to be made on the monthly, and after to come back up, and so reject that level and come back up. And that could make sense on the weekly for it to still come down maybe this week. And after you could get maybe the pushback up later in the next 2 weeks for that monthly to then push up.
Yeah, that's a interesting idea. I think, yeah, looking at these monthly wicks, I think this is a little too deep to create a wick and then still go bullish. What we might see is like this monthly closing week bearish, and then the next one breaks the high, continues onwards.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, we got to take it by the ear. We're in trades for like 10, 15, 1 hour maximum. So the monthly, weekly time frames at the end of the day don't affect our sessions that much. Yeah, we're currently at a very strong support here on pound yen. We need to see some kind of pullback to retest the low. Gold, 15-minute closed above on gold. This reminds me of a situation on Friday. I don't know if you guys who was here on Friday, but we took a very similar situation here. It was taken, yeah, right here. It was taken right there where price had a resistance. It was coming down. Price had a resistance. Over here we had resistance. This 15-minute closed above, and we were taking buys up here, secured 10 pips, and stopped out at break even. But this time, this same pattern is happening. So if we take a look at the context, right? This first time it happened all the way up here, right? It happened all the way up here, but now it's happening all the way down here. So that's a huge difference, because up there we were already very high. So one could say that there could be a deeper pullback, but now we're at a very strong support. So if we see that same pattern at a very strong support, then the probability is obviously going to be a little bit higher. How to add liquidity provider to MetaTrader 4? That's a funny question over there, because it's already implemented in your MetaTrader 4. If you can see candlesticks in your MetaTrader 4, those candlesticks, the data is coming from a liquidity provider, and you can't choose it because your broker, it's your broker chooses which liquidity to use. So the only thing you can do is kind of like see which broker you like most. You better stay on gold to trade. I guess we'll take a look at, we'll stick to the gold chart for a bit, since GJ is kind of at support here. There's not much to say about GJ. We've been talking about sells from up here. I think in summer months we will see bullish trend. My thought process is that a lot of Europe countries are depending on tourism, So I think that COVID restrictions should be less. Yeah, I don't know about where you live, but here in the Netherlands, oh boy, we're like in lockdowns through the summer. They're planning to keep us at home throughout the summer. I think in UK as well, there's like a travel ban. But
You
yeah,
guys really are. I don't like that. That's crazy.
yeah, man, we're super strict here in Netherlands. But also UK, I hear from the UK guys that like there's a travel ban in UK. You can't, leave the UK for leisurely trips. Oh. But yeah, usually summer months have less volume, so you might see smaller candles over there. Euro JPY on a strong resistance, ready to go down. Fire emojis. Nice. XRP is at 1.42. Yeah, a lot of people are making a lot of money on XRP. Robert, we were neighbors when you lived in Italy. Yeah, I think that's far-fetched. The world isn't that small. Plus your last name doesn't quite look Italian over there, but okay. How do you buy XRP? Well, the people that I know that are holding it they use this platform called Binance. So you have that. Yeah, here this guy uses Gemini platform for crypto. What province are you from in the Netherlands? I'm in North Holland. Actually in Hilversum. It's like 20 kilometers from Amsterdam. Let's put on this song. I don't know. Please review this chart on Euro AUD. Let's take a look at this Euro AUD chart. Nice. We're getting so nice charts now. Everything is nicely labeled. Good job, guys. This is really nice. Price is trending upward on the 4-hour time frame. Strong bounce of hourly support. Bullish candle showing momentum to go up. Yeah, that's really nice. 30-minute high broken, showing potential to go up. Clean range to go up. That looks pretty clean. It makes sense. Let's take a look at Euro AUD on the higher time frames. I'm curious. Yeah, nice. I think it's in a delicate situation, but you're making it work. We had support here, resistance here. You saw that price broke or it created a support, and now it's going bullish. That's really nice.
Must be.
Yes.
GJ chart for a minute, please.
Oh, yeah.
If I may just annotate.
Yeah.
If anyone's looking for any sort of trade, my idea would be something like that. Simple. Retest of this level and a couple of or 15-minute rejection, and to test this lows. That's something I'll be looking at, but then it must reject this area. It must reject this area.
Yeah, you need a resistance to fill the wick.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty good idea.
But that involves a lot of waiting and a lot of patience. So
True.
Let's practice that.
People really like this background music. It's Yesterday. It's called Yesterday from...
waiting and a lot of patience. So
True. Yes.
let's practice that.
Oh. Yeah, this song is called Yesterday from Otis McDonald. It's on the YouTube library if you want it. Today's a bad day for me. I lost with DJ. I'm guessing that's supposed to be GJ. But yeah, I took a loss on GJ too, man. Took a sell once the 15-minute here broke the low. Like I took a sell over here with a stop loss over here, and then I managed myself out because this candle didn't go much in profit. Started going into drawdown, went 10 pips, and I'm like, I closed everything. And then you got this big fat, candle going down, but that's okay. We'll catch it another day. Take a look at NZD JPY. Nah, I don't feel like taking a look at NZD JPY because both the NZD and the JPY is closed. So why would you want to trade something that's closed? Is there...
Good reply, man. Good reply.
Somebody asking if there's news for the shipping of magic keys. I can't wait to get yours. I mean, I don't know why you're asking over here. We're not the support team of Magic Keys, but I'm pretty sure that they have an email you can contact. Let's take a look on gold. Ooh, gold is back in the range, man. This pattern, gold, it does not like this pattern, man. Like every time this pattern shows up, it just leaves a wick. The lower time frames start breaking above, and it leaves a wick. You see it on the on the weekly chart as well. Like daily had closed above, and then it closed below, leaving a wick. Then you got a candle going back in the range. It's like gold just does not like this counter trend pattern over here. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, it happened here too. 30-minute closed above this resistance, but not this one, and then price rejected. Same things keep happening over and over. If you guys have any recommendations for the music you want me to play from the YouTube library, let me know. Oh, nice. Ron Nicholas is... Well, I shouldn't say where he's from, but he left a comment. Hilversum is nice and fancy. I'm from close to the beach. That's pretty nice. What point do you go against your... At what point do you go against your bias? Oh, that's a good question. When your bias... how can I explain this? Basically, when you start to get confirmations in the other direction. So let's say your bias is to go down, then you want price to create lows and lower lows, lower highs, basically. But if price then creates a low and then creates a lower high, but creates also a higher low, then that starts to kind of become conflicting your idea to continue lower, right? So especially if price starts to go back up, then a lot of people call this a sort of like head and shoulders, I guess. But it's really more of a counter trend. It's just the market structure breaking its structure and then continuing in the opposite direction. So would you say give it a try, sell at 149,780? Probably not. I mean, 780 is support, right? Then you're selling once this candle breaks the low. It's low. I don't think that's pretty good. I don't think that's a good idea. Oh, wait a minute. It's yesterday's low too, isn't it? Probably not. You probably want to wait for a candle to close below. It's going to be a great idea. Could I look at the 3 months on GJ? Yeah, sure. I can give you guys that gift. I have the the package for that over here. You know what? Let's also take a look at the 12 months. Oh, look at that. So 12 months is at resistance. Oh wow, that's actually, yeah. So 12 months is at pretty strong resistance over here, so that's why we might see a pullback. But it seems overall, GJ's pretty bullish. So if there's any long-term investors here on the stream looking to invest for the next 3-5 years, pound yen seems like a pretty good opportunity, because we see rejections since 2016. Price has been rejecting the 128 level all the way to like 140, but I mean, this information is irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
But it would make sense, like post Brexit, for like the pound to recover and gain some strength again.
Yeah,
like in the next 5 years, like 3 years.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, if this was the 30-minute chart, you'd probably wait for a close above 153, and then with clean traffic up to 188.
Yep.
Just a casual, just 3,000 pip range, you know. Let's see, we got a candle close. Let's take a look. Yeah, 30-minute on gold closed below, so you kind of are shit out of luck on buys over there. This 30-minute closed here. We see 15-minute is bullish. If like Trading Dice said, if you can get a retest of 150, 200, and see some rejections at the resistance created over there, that's going to be a pretty good idea to retest this low. And you still have, and this range is pretty big. It's big enough to do that. So. We have a guy, okay, I'm leaving now. I come to learn, not listen music. Yeah, man. I mean, we had 2 songs playing, but people wanted music, so I gave them music. Is that Raja with the glasses? Ooh. I think Mitch. I think they're looking at you. Are you Raja, Mitch?
Man, I wish, man. I'm honored. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Raja's a good-looking guy, so take that as a compliment. God, do you think Forex will be in danger in future because of all cryptocurrency? I don't think so. I think Forex is safe for like the next 10 years at least. And even if cryptos do take over and everybody starts trading cryptos, then then you're just gonna adapt, learn to the crypto market. Price at the end of the day will always go either up or down, so the same patterns will appear, and we can become consistent in that. As long as we don't go back to trading sheeps and cows and chickens for instead of currencies, then we're good. Oh, this guy in the Zoom chat had a sell stop at 150.120. 50. Oh, that's pretty nice. That's all the way down there. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think a sell stop once the daily flipped bearish as well was also a pretty good idea in this situation. And now you've got another one at 149.760, so down there. I think somebody in this Gulag asked about that. Can we have a sell stop here at support? I think it's pretty risky, but if you're up for the week, up for the month, and you have a profit to leverage to make some extra, then why not leverage another 0.5% or whatever it may be. And Euro AUD over here, hit take profit for somebody. Somebody in the Gulag sent a chart about a Euro AUD right here. And they just hit take profit. Amazing. Congratulations. Let's take a look at GBP USD. Ooh, look at that. GBP USD closed below the support we were talking about. I'm sure the GU traders over there were paying attention and are probably looking to start moving their fingers over here. Let's see how this plays out. You might want to see a resistance formed first, because price has moved quite a bit. So there is a chance that you can sell the low. So that's why you might want to see a resistance. But I mean, I don't watch GBP USD, so don't know how it moves at this time. If my bias was buys, what point would they be valid? Because I was looking for buys all day, I was winning small, then when sells came, I got clapped. Oh boy. I hope you had a stop loss, but I mean, buys were pretty good throughout Asia session. We got some buys in early pre-London, but I mean, you should have had a stop loss. Shouldn't really have been clapped that bad. Can I please check US 30? We are looking on a bearish or bullish stock at the moment. I think we did have a look at US 30 and it was pretty bearish. So let's take a look at that again. Yeah, you want it to form some form of resistance at this point. Yeah, so if this 1 hour closes with this wick over here, and on the lower time frames you start to see resistances, then this wick is going to get filled. And it's about 95 points, $95. Do I expect gold to retest 1730 and break out? I think it just did retest 1730, and I don't know if it's going to break out. I mean, it is a fake out at this moment, but we don't know what it's going to do. Alright, got a little phone call over there. Wait. See GJ coming up to the 150, 200 area. Let's see if it can leave some rejections and then come back down to the support. Because, so after all, you know, the 4 hour is still ranging, but we do have, you know, this momentum from the London session to pre-New York. So if it forms a resistance here, you can still expect it to come back down and retest the low, fill the wick. But so yeah, that's still a viable option, but trying to take sells anticipating the break of the range, that's going to start to get tricky because you don't know. Nobody knows.
Yo, what's good, Master P? What's good, Mitch? What's good, Frank?
Hey man, how are you?
Hey.
Good. Yo, today and yesterday is pretty slow. Well, other than the big move on GJ, but I didn't catch that shit. You guys had catch anything during London?
It was a pretty slow. Yeah, it's been pretty slow with the 4 hour ranging, but in London we were looking to catch these sells over here.
Yeah, there's good selling opportunities, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. I got in a little too early once the 30-minute broke the low here. I was a little too excited to enter over there, so I entered, and it kind of rejected, and I managed myself out of it. And then it didn't give me any second opportunities to enter.
You trade just GJ?
No, also gold.
Okay. That's chill.
Mm-hmm.
That's chill. Yo, it was pretty calm on the stream. I figured somebody had to come and talk a bit.
Yeah, true, man. I'm exhausted over here.
Yeah, you're all alone, bro.
Yeah.
But there's a couple other people talking too.
Yeah, true. And the gulag is pretty fun to read.
Yo, GJ's at a delicate situation right now with coming right back up to resistance.
Mm-hmm.
it would be perfect if it formed a nice resistance on like the 30-minute or 15-minute.
Yeah, indeed. Because it created a low. We have this very strong momentum. You can see how big the candles is. I mean, this is like a 27 pip candle. This is a 37 pip candle. So clearly there's a lot of sellers in the market. And if we see some rejections here, then it's going to retest this low.
Yeah, still pretty big move if you think about from all the way on the top of the range, like 150-700 all the way down is a huge drop considering that happened yesterday or yesterday. Oh no, this morning during London. Okay, yeah, bro, huge move since London.
Yeah, about 80 pips over there.
Yeah. When price starts, because Rakil sometimes when price moves impulsively like this, he starts looking at like the smaller time frame structure and all that. But what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at the 5 minutes, you can see that they're pretty big candles, so they have a lot of volume. So in this situation, the 5 minute is a rather good confirmation time frame. But I just have my chart here on the 15 for the gulag.
Yeah, same.
So
I don't like the 5 minute, to be honest.
See, I take most of my buys on the 5 minute or sells on the 5 minute because it's just like a clean confirmation, especially when you got these big candles like that. You know that within the 5 minutes, there's everybody's flooding that.
Yeah, indeed, especially at high volume times.
Yeah, especially now since the candles are huge. That's what I was looking at too. But because I was asking about the 5 minute because you know how it's right back to that zone that I just broke.
Yes.
I might look for a 5 minute resistance because it's such a valid zone, and might take my sales off the 5 minute because it might just it looks like it's shooting back down, but it just moved like 2 pips. But
true. Yeah, you want to take it by the ear because if this 5 minute starts creating resistance, then you have to ask yourself, when is the 15-minute closing? Then you have this 15-minute closing as well with the 5 minute. Then this bearish 5 minute becomes the wick of the 15.
It's a wick, yeah. There's no confirm. I never look at the 5 minute either. I'm just like chasing a trade, to be honest.
Yeah, so you kind of need to put 2 and 2 together as well when trading the 5 minute. You really need to be aware of the higher time frame candles because you might get a confirmation. Like if this candle closes bearish, you can say, "Oh, perfect." The next one can respect the high and go lower. But then you have the 15-minute closing bullish, and what you might see is that the next 15-minute can break the high and then close bullish to give you that confirmation to go down.
Look at the bullish momentum on the current 15, bro. No bottom wick, just shot right up.
Yeah,
that's why I don't want to take it on the 5 minute. 15-minute resistance and sells to retest the bottom. I think that's the plan for the day.
True.
Do you usually trade New York, or you're just doing it because we're Rakila and doing the streams?
No, I usually don't trade New York at all. Almost never.
Okay, so you're doing a favor for these gulag traders.
Yeah, pretty much doing a favor by breaking my plan.
But last week you called a nice trades though, for real, no cap.
Oh yeah, last week was pretty nice. It was pretty good.
Yeah. I think that's why everyone came on early this week, like all hyped up to like take trades. That was me yesterday though, not gonna lie.
I see. Yeah, what we did. What? Crap! I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, we definitely had some good trades. I mean, it was towards the later in the week. My personal feeling, I don't feel like, Mondays and Tuesdays are kind of always slow for me.
Yeah, Monday, especially to Monday.
I find that I'm mostly twiddling my thumbs and trying to sit on my hands so I don't take those stupid trades that I'm trying to trace. But, some days it's not.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I know the feel. Plus yesterday, I only took 3 trades last week, so that's how it's a good week with like 3 conservative trades, But Monday was a bank holiday for some countries.
Yeah, for the pound, it was bank holiday.
Yeah.
Gold buys.
I think I broke my plan last week, and it actually paid out. I think, didn't we take those buys or those sells on Friday?
On Friday, I was looking for gold buys.
Yes, and then it flipped, and we took those sells. Yeah. So, and I normally try not to. Raja pumped into my head not to,
Mhm.
take trades on Fridays, but that one was just
True.
too beautiful to because it was like a 41 pip move, and that was just my take profit because then it kept soaring down. So it was,
Yeah, you had the cells afterwards.
yeah, it was a pretty nice.
Yeah, I had a far-fetched idea for price to create a support at this retest area, and but I needed like a 1 hour to close a bullish, but that never happened. 30-minute was too weak for that. Buys from here. So let's see, do we have any charts in the gulag? Let me go through the messages here.
If this last 15 minute of the 1 hour on GJ closes bearish,
Yeah, the
it
next hour is gonna fill the wick.
it would be good because like it wouldn't be as big of a rejection on the 1 hour close, and it would be a good wick to fill with the momentum with the New York Open. That would be a good setup.
Yeah, indeed. You see 5-minute closed weak bearish over there.
Yeah, the 5 minute, in my opinion, has no confirmation.
Yeah, no, not right now.
Yeah. I was kind of pissed about the move at first, but now it made some nice traffic if we wait for the confirmation.
Yeah, man, you should have seen me in London session. I was so sad that I didn't get to catch the move, because
you'd be rich right now if your thing was still running.
Yeah, because I planned the moves since like the start of my session. I saw what happened, and I was really confident in this situation because it's about the 6th, 7th time we've seen it in this year.
You noted it, yeah. You were waiting for it.
Yeah, so I knew it, and but I just entered a little too early over here, and the price rejected, and I never got the second chance to enter. But that's okay.
Yeah, me last week. It boosted my confidence a bit because like I was securing full at like 10, 15 pips, but twice I took 3 trades and 2 out of the 3 trades ran for 100 pips, 60 pips
yeah.
On GJ. So that's why I came this week like with a great mindset, and also like tried to up my lot size. But you know that feeling every time you try to up your lot size, the first trade is a L.
Yeah, I upped my lot size today as well.
Yeah, me it was yesterday. That's why I'm trying to be conservative right now. No lies.
True. And,
it's just Tuesday though.
Yeah, exactly. It's still a whole week ahead.
For real.
Let's see. We got a chart over here. Ooh. Oh, that's my fault. I missed the little slash. Over here, if negative candle forms, makes sense to sell. Left is clean candles as well. Strong support on the 4-hour, huge wick. This is the 15-minute possible. Yeah, we were talking about this just now. I think like Trading Die mentioned, and like Andrew mentioned, if you get a bearish, if this 15-minute closes bearish, then you have this 30-minute closing weak bullish, and you have the 1-hour closing with a wick that can be filled. But you have to, of course, keep in mind that we are rejecting 4-hour support, and 4-hour outweighs the 1-hour.
Yeah, and also the resistance being formed is crucial because right now, if the 1 hour closes like this, it just looks like a rejection of the 4-hour zone that you said is really strong too.
Indeed, it needs to close with a strong body.
Yeah,
and everything.
Which would also be the 15-minute forming resistance, which is what you want when taking a trade. You want all the time frames to align. I think that's like the perfect trade.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you have other people on the Zoom chat agreeing with you.
True.
That's mostly not a good thing. The best trades I feel
on the Zoom, not the gulag though. It has to be on the Zoom.
Now even then, I feel the best trades is when not everybody's with you. Because if everybody's with you, I feel like then
you're just following the herd, but at the same time
exactly.
I know, but like if you're saying it out loud and everything sounds good, I find that's A1. When you say it out loud and then you realize everything comes together, you're like, all right, bless, I'm executing. Fuck it.
Yeah, true. That's okay. It's okay. Yeah, true. I think when you've got the opposite bias to everybody else, then it's sometimes you seem like an idiot because then price doesn't do what you want, and everybody's like, bro, don't marry your bias. But then there's that few times it does do what you want to do, and then you're like, oh wow.
And that feels good.
Yeah. Got a chart over here from an Italian. I salute you. Oh crap. Again, no slash. Let's take a look at this chart. Main bias, I am expecting price to close below 1722, so I am looking for sells, TP1 at 1720 and 1712. Possible buys at 1736, only if 30M closes above resistance. Interesting. So that's interesting. Yeah, well, let me annotate, because I think that's pretty good. I think you can also start looking for buys possibly above here, above like 1730, because if you take a look to the left, you see that like you have clean traffic. So with clean, and you're at a very strong support too. So if price does break above here, I think with the New York Open, it's going to be a pretty easy move to 1736. And for sells, I think that makes sense to wait for 1722, 1723 to break. The current low here to break. So that makes sense. We've got Italian traders over here. Well done. You guys need to boost the economy in Italy because it's not doing that well. So we need a lot of Italians to start trading, making a lot of money, buying Ferraris, boosting the economy. Okay, got another. I'm Italian too. Check my chart. Now everybody's gonna start telling me they're Italian so I can check their charts. Yeah, don't worry, guys. We're gonna check every chart. As doesn't matter where you're from. So this is CAD JPY 30-minute. It's creating lower lows, lower highs, making impulse moves after corrections, constantly sell after breaking daily support level point. Closing 30-minute candle top.
Well, DJ doesn't want to wait for the closes.
Oh wow, look at that. Yeah, I think this chart. I mean, I don't understand this chart. There's no like zones, just like channels. But yeah, I think if you retest this channel and then form a resistance at the bottom end of the channel to go down, I think pretty good.
Yeah, but bro, he's Italian.
So I need to speak Italian to him or something.
Smart contracts go live on Cardano. Will it shake DeFi for emerging markets? And what novel value will Cardano bring to the crowded world of NFTs? Well, that's just two. But what are the top 5 smart contract use cases? Stick around for that list. Welcome to Word on the Block, the series that takes a deeper dive into blockchain and all the emerging technologies that shape our world at the intersection of business, politics, and economy. It's what we cover right here on Forecast News. I'm Forecast Editor-in-Chief Angie Lau. Well, Cardano's Alonzo hard fork, the smart contract upgrade, is now live, and what better time to do so than in the middle of the NFT and DeFi boom. But Cardano has bigger plans that extend beyond collectibles and farming yield. The project hopes to be the financial bridge to the trillions of dollars of illiquid wealth in emerging markets. Now, earlier this year, Cardano announced a partnership with the Ethiopian Ministry of Education to develop blockchain IDs for its 5 million students. That's the same blockchain that is now ready to host decentralized finance applications on its ecosystem. And so our next guest today, returning due to popular demand from our audience, the founder of IOHK and Cardano, a co-founder of Ethereum, none other than Charles Hoskinson himself. Charles, welcome back to the show.
Angie, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
The last time we talked about just this application of blockchain and how it really can transcend borders and bring kind of liquidity to the illiquid wealth that we've been talking about, trapped in so many parts of this world, in Asia, in Africa, in so many continents. And now, fast forward to today, smart contracts have finally arrived to the Cardano ecosystem. Supporters have been very excited for this upgrade. We've been monitoring this very closely. So let's just start there. Can you walk us through the Alonzo hard fork of September 12th? Give us a quick behind the scenes description from your team, the community, as you kind of counted it down to hit zero.
Well, this was the terminus of a kind of a 3 hard fork combinator event. We did one in December of last year where we added metadata support, and then we added native multi-asset support with the Mary hard fork, and I think that was May. And then we finally got full smart contract support here in September. And every time we added this functionality, the community was very happy to use that functionality. So with metadata, for example, that enabled the possibility of the Minister of Education deal with Ethiopia and the ability to add identity to transactions and all kinds of things. With native multi-asset, that made us an NFT contender. Over 70,000 have been issued on Cardano already prior to the hard fork that occurred just yesterday. And then obviously with the hard fork combinator event yesterday, we now have the ability to run Plutus scripts, which is the foundational component upon which dApps will be constructed. So there's a lot more to do. There's more infrastructure to construct. There's dApp stores that will come and all kinds of clever, crazy scalability solutions that will come. But basically, this is like having the Ethereum virtual machine. It's having a foundation upon which you can run smart contracts. And we have certainly a lot in queue. We launched one yesterday. It was one of the first on the network to name my lobster on the microphone. We already had 74 people participate in that one, and it'll stop after I think either 350 or 500 do. So little stuff like that is definitely coming. And throughout the next few months, all those big ecosystem maps that you see people tweet again and again and again, a lot of those logos in the ecosystem maps will be launching products on Cardano, and we'll take a look and see how competitive they are and if they achieve liquidity or not. So it's certainly a major milestone for the project as a whole, but it's just a day. And what's really defined Cardano has been this meticulous, relentless marathon-like pace where every day we make progress, every day we make progress. There are some days that are slow days and other days like yesterday that are major events, but we're in it for the long haul. And it's really exciting to see what's going to happen in 2022 and 2023 as the system is waking up and millions of users come in and what experiences they construct with the model.
Well, I remember when we talked a couple of years ago, and I was still grilling you on why are you using Haskell as a coding language. It's just really, it's elegant, it's gorgeous, it's academic, but very few people use it. I think we were just talking about just the micro aspect of what you're building, and now amongst the audience are traditional, are institutional people, are professional people. They are not blockchain people. They're not dev people. They probably are just learning what dApps are. They hear about Cardano as an Ethereum killer. They don't even know necessarily what that means. What we all know, and what everybody knows paying attention to this, is Cardano is now the third largest market cap cryptocurrency right now. And with Alonzo bringing that smart contract functionality, we are actually closer to that characterization of Ethereum killer, if you want to call it that, if it's that competitive a space. But it really is interesting that as you've just kind of put your head down and the community got to work and the devs got to work, that this space also evolved alongside with you. And now we meet again. We're not talking about Haskell anymore. We're talking about Plutus core. We're not talking about, building it up to smart contract. We are here now. You have smart contract functionality. And now as people take a look at your market cap, how Cardano and ADA is functioning in even the market space, how are you bringing the real world along with you, and how does it feel right now to kind of be in this moment that you envisioned all along?
Well, I mean, 6 years of effort to get there, and it was not for lack of trying. I mean, we wrote over 110 papers, 111 papers, probably 116 on the website now, a million plus lines of code. A lot of people came and went, and it's a really bittersweet moment. You know, first you always say, well, why did it take so long to get here? You know, what could we have done to have shaved a year off or, you know, a month off here and there? And you always think, God, I should have built this before I built that, or I should have invested more in this technology instead of that technology. If you're really thinking about a product, you're never happy because all you can see are the things you've done wrong in the product, not the things that you've done right. Even if you've done a lot right, there's always a problem there. But, you know, we don't regret certain fundamental things like the choice of Haskell as a programming language. It enabled us the ability to get a much higher level of assurance that the things we were doing were correct. Not completely flawless, but the set of bugs were much smaller. And, you know, given that more than $1 billion of money has been stolen from bad DeFi designs and, you know, poor smart contract designs, that really shows you there's a strong need in the industry for certified software, for software that's high assurance, especially given the evaluations that these platforms have. We're not valuing them at startups. We're valuing them as if they're Fortune 250 companies. So if that's the case, then you have to actually have infrastructure like your Google or Facebook, or at least aspire to do these things. And so we just kind of did it up front. These other guys are trying to figure out how to get there themselves. In terms of being an Ethereum killer, you know, the best Ethereum killer in the space is Ethereum, you know, because they're creating Ethereum 2. You know, and when Ethereum 2 is created, Ethereum 1 dies. So everybody acknowledges that that model is not sustainable, and they're trying to now move to a new model. Well, we're first to market with proof of stake in that respect, and ours, in our view, is better than theirs. We don't require bonding or slashing, and we have over 70% participation, and the system is remarkably stable. We can do seamless upgrades, like yesterday was just an event. Nothing went down. There was no catastrophic collapse. Half the nodes didn't, you know, decohere with each other or something. It just worked. So we think that that's a testimony to doing the work up front, and that's a very competitive model. That said, in terms of real-world use cases, we tend to think of RealFi, not DeFi. And, you know, RealFi is DeFi plus, plus, plus. There's other stuff you add on. You need to have identity. You need to have metadata. You need to have a strategy for how compliance is going to work, as Uniswap is starting to learn. You need to have governance. Like, you claim it's not centralized. Well, then who upgrades it? A single company? No, you need a voting system. Well, we pre-built a lot of these things. We have Prism for identity. We have a metadata standard. We have Catalyst for governance. And when you issue a native asset on Cardano, next year, that native asset, you can use that to vote, just like you can vote with ADA right now. So you have basically one of the best decentralized organizations as a piece of common shared infrastructure. So a lot of the design choices that we've made, the market's not even aware of those choices yet. And throughout this year and next year, they'll slowly get aware. And they'll get aware through progress, because there's all kinds of things that are in the commercial pipeline that will come online over the next 6 months to a year. And those things will bring millions of users into Cardano. And then we'll also be EVM backward compatible as well. So if you're an Ethereum developer and getting tired of paying all your fees, you just take your Solidity code and run it on Cardano, you know, through a sidechain. So all those things are coming, and, you know, that we have direct line of sight to how they're going to come and what we're going to do to get them into the system. And it's just better, faster, and cheaper on our system. And also, if you care to do things the right way and write software the right way, the program, the platform, it works with you instead of against you. When you look at Solidity, it's very hard in that model to actually get high assurance that the application's right. And there's some companies like Runtime Verification and Certica and others that actually specialize in that. And you have to spend a lot of money and time and effort to get to a baseline of assurance where you think what you've written is correct. Tools like
you can either build a streamlined ship that stays afloat and is fast in the market, or something that stays afloat. It's not necessarily fast because, you know, there's some holes you need to plug that you need to plug as you're trying to move forward. This is why this conversation is so exciting, for me at least, and for us at Forecast, because we have been marking these changes. We have, you know, I count myself very privileged to have talked to you early in your story, as well as blockchain's story. And so I absolutely see how, you know, even your experience and you know, in academia and, you know, even just thinking about how DARPA really kind of came together as part of your philosophy as you build the infrastructure of this blockchain of Cardano, and how that all kind of comes together and must be a holistic ecosystem versus this protocol that does one specific function and then we'll figure out the rest later. You kind of took your time and figured out every piece, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, actually a DARPA program is the best way of looking at it. So DARPA is famous for doing high risk, high return research, and they have the luxury of failure, so they can spend a lot of money and have a lot of false starts. And they do these crazy things at DARPA. Like, for example, CALO, Cognitive Assistant Learns and Organizes, was a program in 2003, and they said, we want this intelligent agent that'll just live on your computer, and that thing will talk to you and like be your secretary. It's like the movie Her. It's like, wow, that's crazy. So they spent 5 years on it, and they did all this crazy research, and they had dozens of companies, and they spent, I don't know, $200-300 million. And they didn't create that intelligent assistant. However, the program manager went on and created Siri, and then that resulted in Cortana and Bixby and Alexa and all these other intelligent assistants there. So they kind of bootstrapped an entire view how to do an interactive intelligent assistant that kind of lives in the computing device, and it's part of your computing experience. And they create a lot of foundational technology there. So we looked at Cardano the same way. We said, okay, there needs to be a mixture of deep theory and foundational stuff with some applied stuff. And if we get it right, we'll get a Siri out of it. We might not achieve and get her and, AGI and huzzah and falls in love with us, but we get Siri. And that's basically what we did. We wrote all these foundational papers like the GKL paper and other things and said, well, what is a blockchain? Is proof of stake actually possible? In the beginning, we didn't know. And can you achieve the same security properties as proof of work? And how will the system evolve over time? How would you govern a system like that? How would you scale a system like that? And so forth. So a lot of that preliminary research started in 2015, and we created the first wave in 2017. And just now, this year, next year, we're finishing the second wave of that. And what you see in Cardano is the manifestation of a lot of those principles and concepts. And what's really nice about it is that the things that are out there, some are conservative, some aren't, we know that works. And that's grounded in very strong foundations. And that's built with the entire academic community being aware of it. When you go through the peer review process, it means people who don't work for you outside of your organization, completely unaffiliated, have had an opportunity to be able to criticize your work through the referee process of paper writing. So we've gotten enormous amounts of wonderful feedback, and it gave us a great collective knowledge of the entire design space. And now it's kind of mission accomplished, this 5 years of just being able to get it to a point where there's something real and commercial there. And just like Siri invited everybody to imagine more, it creates competition, it created Cortana and all these other things. Well, the existence of Cardano has spawned off a lot of academic competitors like Algorand, for example, and Avalanche, and other professors who say, oh, we can do better than Charles and his guys, and we're smarter. And so that means we all learn from each other, and there's this great rigor movement that's occurring. And even Ethereum is starting to realize that some of the things we were talking about, like the need for formal methods, the need for writing papers, they're starting to do that. Like they finally wrote the Casper paper last year, and they are actually starting to really take seriously formal methods and so forth. So it's really been a great moment for the industry as a whole, and it's made the industry as a whole a lot better. Just like a DARPA program usually opens up something like AI or so forth. So we're quite proud of that. The other thing is ROI in terms of what was spent to build this versus what has been created. The entire cost of the program was $72 million, and we're a little over budget. Came out of my pocket, but all things considered, I mean, look, a multi-million person ecosystem, over 100 scientific papers, a million lines of code, working product and market with smart contracts, international footprint, 120 exchanges it's listed on. It's bewildering to see the level of progress and insight in the community interaction.
It's a bargain
that's created
based on your output.
Right. I mean, EOS spent $4 billion, and so you got to always have comparability of did you get a good return on intention with what happened there. So we're real happy about all of that, and we're real proud about it. But there's a long future ahead. There's still Basho to do. There's still Voltaire to do. We have a lot of great things that we've been working on for about 3 years now on scalability that we can turn on next year for Basho, and it's the same for governance and what we've learned with the whole Catalyst program. Over $1 billion of value sitting in the Catalyst program, and every 6 to 8 weeks, there's another round that comes out and people vote on it, and we're probably going to have over 100 ventures funded this round, and it just keeps growing. $4 million this round, probably be 8 the next round. So that's really impressive to see that the living organism that Cardano has become, and it's really greater than the sum of its parts at this point. And it's hard to know where it begins and ends. There's probably 15 development companies that are doing infrastructural development on Cardano. There's a lot of competition now. A lot of cases we're not first to market in something. Like a lot of these concurrency scalability blog posts are being written by the DEXs that are deploying on Cardano. We were expecting to write, this big concurrency blog, and we're kind of talking, when do we have time for this? We're doing the launch, and then MinSwap released something, and Sunday Swap released something, and all these other guys. So it's just so encouraging to see that people we haven't met, we don't have a commercial relationship with, are now building, deploying, and creating a commercial ecosystem around it.
Yeah.
And they'll bring customers in. It means I can focus more on science, and also I can focus more on the commercialization of Africa and actually building out relationships there, which has always been my passion. Meanwhile, other people can focus on other areas, like how do we win in Silicon Valley, and how do we win here, and so forth, and that'll happen.
I mean, it's really a great kind of symbiotic relationship, for lack of a better description. You're focusing on enterprise commercial space in Africa, but arguably that could also give birth to a lot of enterprise ideas that we could see in the rest of the world. I want to talk about DeFi here, because last time we talked about DeFi in emerging markets, right? How you believe that the true value of DeFi and blockchain's promise to bank the unbanked will be seen rather than, seen there rather than, New York, seen in emerging markets like Ethiopia, like in Africa versus, a New York or United States. Since then, the DeFi ecosystem in competition has soared, right? The rise of Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, Solana, Ethereum no longer the only option for builders. How would you break down your current observations on the growth of the DeFi space and how Cardano all fits into this ecosystem?
Yeah, I think DeFi is in a bubble, and it's always what happens. NFT and DeFi are the latest. It was the ICO revolution in 2017 was the same situation. But just because it's in a bubble doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad situation. It just means that people recognize there's value, but the market's having a very hard time pricing that value. And what are the indications of the bubble? I mean, you have new projects that have very small development teams, not a lot of liquidity, and they come out worth $1 billion. We used to call those unicorns in Silicon Valley. It's like, wow, a unicorn. My God, you did that in 5 years. That's so incredible. It's like, well, we do it in 5 weeks now. So there's something fundamentally wrong with those valuations. And so it's indication that there's going to be a regression in DeFi. Also, there's a regulatory surge that's just about to happen with DeFi. The Securities Exchange Commission in particular, Gensler has made his feelings abundantly clear that he's not happy, and he's beginning the process of turning the wheels of bureaucracy. And we will see over the next few months to years some form of a crackdown. Well, those two things mean that the next generation of DeFi is up for grabs. Okay, so people are going to migrate from where they're at to chains that provide more predictability and cost, better support for whatever regulation comes, as well as basically a better home for their customers to live. And then new DeFi protocols will be constructed to compete with them. Just like the ICO revolution's collapse led to different financing models that inevitably led to the creation of ICP and all of these other things like Solana and so forth that when we now see in market that are quite competitive. So I'm overall bullish in the 3 to 5 year time horizon, but I think batteries aren't included yet. We need to get to that stage. So we need governance, we need certification, we need insurance, we need regulation on these things, metadata, identity, these types of things. But then at the same time, you need to be you need to be decentralized. So how do you do all that stuff and be decentralized? None of these protocols have done that stuff and maintained some semblance of decentralization yet. So the next wave of them will do that, and then with a straight face will be significantly harder to regulate in a traditional sense. And the way we constructed Cardano was for that second wave to come.
Yeah.
These incumbency standards don't last very long. And no one seems to believe me on this. And I was like, guys, I've been in technology a while. If you don't believe me that network effects are malleable, then what you need to do is pull out your BlackBerry phone and go to Yahoo and search for your email.
Wait, what are you talking about? Search for your Hotmail.
Yeah, search for your Hotmail, and then go ahead and restore your MySpace account, and then you can post about how I'm wrong on your MySpace account. I mean, it's like, come on, guys. Like, stuff changes so quickly in technology. Microsoft was on top. Now they're on bottom. And Android and iOS are on top. Microsoft is surging again. Who knows? Facebook is a metaverse company. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know. I mean, there's so much crazy stuff that you see so quickly, and every 2 to 3 years the clock resets. Just what we've already achieved with Cardano was unthinkable. You know, if you talk to people even a year ago in Silicon Valley and other places. Meanwhile, they don't really realize that the game we've been playing is not for today; it's for the future. We're in the right markets with the right technology.
This is it. This is why this conversation. So for everyone who recognizes that, right, and sees that DeFi as it exists today, whether the regulators come in this phase of growth for DeFi, and to your point, all the hacks that are happening, all the cybersecurity issues that's experiencing, there is a next phase of DeFi. And so if you're an enterprise person and you're sitting here, you're on the institutional side, you're in finance, and you are interested in DeFi, you are interested in adapting some of these functionalities into your commercial business. What is the next phase? Describe that. Describe that for all our friends in finance.
First off, you need to have a dApp store. I mean, it just blows my mind that we don't have a canonical dApp store for the industry. I have Google Play, and we have the iOS store. And I know people have been trying to do this, but you need to have some coherent way of curating dApps so that you know that the code's been checked, it's certified, the author information's right, the life cycle is great. Because we've already trained a whole generation of people using computing devices that this is the model for how
Should a bank do this?
Well, no.
Should one of the world's leading banks do this, or how does this work?
I think it's completely up for grabs. Actually, telcos have the best chance of doing it because they can deploy alternative app stores on their phones, and Google can't stop them, and Apple can't stop them. So somebody's going to do a dApp store. We have some ideas of what that needs to look like, and other people have as well. So that's a foundational user experience. If you're talking about B2C. You got to get it into the browser. You got to get it on the phone. You got to get it where the eyeballs are, the money is, the action is. And you have to make discoverability of dApps, curation of dApps really, really, really easy. Okay? Then you can get mass market. You can get millions to billions of users very quickly in the developed world. The developing world is a whole different banana, and we specialize in that. But you have connectivity issues there. You have capital control issues there. You have lack of monetary stability. There's a ton of education that's needed. There's so many unique challenges there, and that's a long conversation. And we have those conversations like the Africa Special and other things. And you measure progress in years there. On average, a deal takes 3 to 7 years to do. But if you're focused just in America, Europe, the developed world, dApp Store is the way to go. The other thing is we need to start thinking cross-chain in DeFi. It is so crazy where we're open source and we believe in this open movement and decentralization. But the first thing I want to do is lock you into my model and my token. What the hell are you doing? It's like Microsoft with ActiveX and Internet Explorer all over again. IE6 is you can't even do properly coded cascading style sheets. You actually had to put a bug in your software to get your sheets to render correctly. But they didn't follow standard. They didn't care because they're Microsoft. They had 90% of the market share. It makes no sense to have vendor lock-in in these things. So the winners of the future in the DeFi space are going to have liquidity and interoperability, the ability to move multi-chain. We already see this happening with things like Chainlink and others. They see that, and they're trying to move in that particular direction and not put all their eggs in one basket like Ethereum and so forth, which is why I think it's so crazy when people talk about Ethereum's network effect. It's so ephemeral. So it's more about where do you do your B2C and how do you get a good UI UX, and then how do you create liquidity for developers where they build once, deploy everywhere. We see that with Cordova. We see that with so many construction tools like React and so forth, where you have the ability to go multi-platform. And then finally, cost predictability is such an important thing. It's so bizarre how we just tolerate massive swings in the price of doing business. It's like nobody runs a 7-Eleven where you go to the 7-Eleven, they're like, well, I want to buy a Twinkie. Well, that'll be $74. And then tomorrow, that'll be 50 cents. It's like, it's madness. You can't have price volatility, and as a merchant, you can't have margins where some days you're in windfall profits and some days you're in exponential losses. It's crazy. You need to have constant pricing of computation, and that's really where the good layer 2 interplay comes in. The state channels, the ZK rollups, a lot of the work that we're doing with isomorphic state channels, Hydra, we think is industry leading. But everybody's pursuing that because the really smart people recognize that. And that is where most of the action of dApps and DeFi are going to live in the next 3 to 5 years, is in that zone. And they use the layer 1 as kind of a proof checker and a settlement of last resort. They use the layer 2 for all the interactions and things between the people. And then you'll have all these, but I have Hashgraph, and I have this, and I have this, and then DAG this, and DAG that, and somehow the base layer can do 10 bazillion transactions per second. And you say, okay, well, you can't do basic math then, because you can't be decentralized with that. If you're doing 1 million transactions per second, they're kilobyte each. Okay, so you have a gigabyte per second for your system, and somehow grandma's going to keep up with that on her cell phone. Oh, no, but she doesn't, because we have this light pro. So your whole system is centralized around 12 custodial servers that run everything. It's like, how is that any different than Amazon or Rackspace or these other guys? They can't think it through. So if you're really serious about having a layer 1 solution that's sustainable and stable, you have to really say, okay, well, what's really going to be happening there? And that's going to be batching and proof checking, and that's going to be aggregation of a lot of events. And then you're going to have these dynamic ephemeral networks that live in layer 2, and they're multi-chain, and they're coordinating tons of activity. But all that cryptography and all that other stuff, it gets checked and validated on chain. So you have an equivalent trust model, but you're not using this very scarce resource that is your layer 1, whether it be Bitcoin, which, by the way, is getting programmability with Taproot and other things, or it be Ethereum, or it be Cardano, and so forth. We saw that future. And we designed the extended UTXO model. We designed Hydra. We designed our sidechain model and all these other things to accommodate that future. And if dApps are going to live there, I think they could live there very comfortably and be comparable in terms of user experience and cost predictability to what you see with regular everyday applications running on your cell phone. The difference is they're censorship resistant, they're trustless, and also Apple and Google don't control who gets to use them, which is where we're at right now.
And so you have this kind of elegant balance between something that we humans have a basic need of stability, right? You can't run a business without having awareness of your fixed costs, right? You mentioned dApps, okay? So the lead up to the Alonzo hard fork, I got to ask you about this, was kind of met with some drama. We saw it in a form of a decentralized exchange. It went live on Cardano's public testnet. The test was met with some concurrency errors, which led to a few of your critics having a field day regarding Cardano's UTXO, that is unspent transaction output model. Some said that the dApps would be limited to just 1 transaction per block. What actually happened there that led to IOHK releasing a statement on Twitter calling out the FUD and misinformation? Let's just clear it up right now. Can you educate us on what happened there and what you're building out?
Okay, so first off, no one in the industry seemed to have any issue at all with UTXO, which is the core accounting model of Bitcoin for the longest time. And there's all these people that do UTXO, like Monero and Bitcoin and Litecoin and so forth, and we're adding smart contracts to Bitcoin. But apparently that's not a concurrency issue. We'll never complain to Blockstream or any of these other guys. Okay, so what happened was MinSwap, they released a very early alpha on our testnet, and they designed it in a rather straightforward way, but they didn't actually take advantage of the concurrency design patterns for UTXO. So basically, you can only consume 1 UTXO per block. And the way you get around this is you have more UTXOs. So you load balance with that. So they didn't do that. So what happened is that you have 1 transaction per block in that design. It's not a design failing of extended UTXO. You need to have different design patterns for extended UTXO. The account model takes care of some of this for you. Extended UTXO is batteries not included with that. You need to put a system on the load balance. So this is early days software, so obviously they don't have that concurrency thing yet, and those patterns have yet to be fully explored yet. That's the point of it taking a few months. But then critics said, well, because they didn't do that, that must mean that everybody can't do that, and Cardano's incapable of that feature. And we're just like, what the hell are you guys saying? You know, and there's an easy analogy for the everyday consumer to understand. So there's multi-core and single core. So when Intel came out and AMD came out with their multi-core processors, you have suddenly 2 processors instead of 1. But a lot of your software didn't run any faster. And if people say, I don't get it, I have now like twice as much raw horsepower, what's going on? The software wasn't written to take advantage of multiple cores, right?
That's right?
And so we had to kind of wait for people to learn how to do that and introduce parallelism. It's the same situation here. You can use UTXO like a single core processor. You can use UTXO like a multi-core processor. It's up to the software architect to decide that. And you can't blame the chip in the computer for the fact that the software developer didn't do something. Even that
it's
company,
the poor
Winswap,
artist. You can't blame your materials.
Yes, it's like blaming the violin for your ability to play. It's like, come on, guys, it's the instrument's fine. So even Minswap, the creator of the DEX, they released a blog post today actually explaining how they're going to achieve concurrency within the model. And they outline all the challenges and what they're thinking about. Sunday Swap did the same. We wrote some concurrency blog posts. Everybody in the space is kind of showing that. The point is it takes a little bit of time for people to learn how to write software that way. And once they do, you gain a huge advantage, which is determinism and consistency and predictability. With Ethereum, you have no idea how much things are going to cost. And there are all kinds of hacks, and sometimes your transactions succeed and sometimes they fail. With the UTXO model, you always know locally, because you don't have a global state, how things are going to work. And as a consequence, you know up front what you're paying, and you can get determinism with your execution. It's so powerful from a formal methods viewpoint.
It also speaks to the tribalism that really is interesting in the space, I have to say.
Oh, God, yeah, like the Bitcoin people were hitting us, and we're like, guys, you are on the same accounting model. Ours is just more expressive than yours. If we can't do it, you sure as hell can't do it.
Now,
what are
kids,
you doing?
Everybody's great, okay? And you're all special in your own way. Everybody play nicely on the playground. But essentially, the playground is getting more crowded. I mean, this is the exciting part, right? There's smarter kids on the playground. There's kids joining all the time with new ideas, building it out. We talked about emerging markets. We talked about DeFi. Let's talk about NFTs. Okay, NFTs. The boom has been incredible. How does Cardano's smart contract capabilities, you think, shape the booming NFT market, especially since you hinted that, some of the stuff that we are building out to, you're not going to see for the next 6 to 12 months, but we see it very clearly. You're going to see it in the next couple of months. We kind of saw that in the NFT space. I mean, there are still some people talking about the art space and the sports space. I mean, let's talk about the real estate. Let's talk about financing. Let's talk about all of this other media, all of this other application of the NFT space that you see as well, as you build out kind of the Cardano vision.
So first off, I think we're probably one of the best platforms for NFTs because of the native asset standard that we have. The native multi-asset means that it's cheaper and easier to issue assets on Cardano than ERC20 assets or any other assets that you see in a smart contract-based system. And what's beautiful about this is that those assets have the same properties that ADA has. So anything we do for ADA can be reused for those assets for free. So if you can vote with ADA, eventually you'll be able to vote with those assets. So already, as I've mentioned, 70,000 plus NFTs have been issued on Cardano, and that's just pre-smart contract. What's nice about the smart contract side is that you can now add in spending policies, dynamic NFTs, where things actually change and evolve as the NFT is used. Like, for example, a lot of the value of something as a collectible is about who owned it and what did they do with it. So you say, well, here's a rifle. Okay. Well, this was George Washington's rifle, and he used it, in New York. And you're like, wow, that's so valuable. Okay. So that history of an NFT and the dynamicism of it is a humongous component to collectability. Also, the ability to layer NFTs with other techniques like securitization and revenue streams and these things. Like, you can represent a chunk of intellectual property as an NFT. You could securitize that chunk of intellectual property. Then as it gets licensed, you can generate a royalty to all those shareholders. And, so you have a base thing and it's connected to a fungible thing. So all of those things are easy to do with Cardano because of that native multi-asset standard. That said, we actually need as an industry to really think carefully about a lot of edge cases of what are you actually selling. you sell an NFT. For example, I took some of my tweets and I sold them online as NFTs. And I raised like $30,000 and I donated the money to various people. That was fun. But to life of me, I actually don't know what I sold. I sold a tweet representing, an NFT representing a tweet. But can I delete the tweet now? I mean, I don't know. It's like this type of stuff. There's no real contracts or intellectual property, and it's going to get litigated to hell because the musicians right now have all these contracts with record labels, and there's a very strong draconian royalty sharing thing. But then they can go and create some NFTs that are derivatives of that and then sell them and say, well, we don't owe you any royalties on that. And then the record labels will screw you, man. You owe us money. So there's already going to be a lot of court stuff that happens and the shenanigans that happens. Or what if
Have you designed towards those things?
Yeah, so some of that is industry-wide standards. And some of that is also, can you embed contractual relationships into the transaction itself? So when somebody buys an NFT, they're actually signing a contract and there's a clear end-user license agreement and all these kinds of things. So those standards need to be constructed, and they're intrinsically cross-chain because you want to enforce scarcity. Like, for example, I could right now issue an NFT on Ethereum. I could then issue the exact same type of NFT on Cardano. Is that okay to do that? I guess I can. But, so then they all will scarcity.
It would be disingenuous, obviously.
But there's also money laundering considerations that are occurring. So there's a lot of evidence the Treasury Department's been tracking where people are basically using NFTs as a mechanism to legitimize unlawful funds. So you just create an NFT, you buy it from yourself, you say it came from someone else. Oh, look, this picture of a stone sold for $5 million, and I just made it out of nowhere. I have no idea who the counterparty is. Actually, it was you, but this kind of stuff happens. So all that's getting sorted, and the way we constructed Cardano is we have a lot of stuff, the same things that make RealFi work really well are going to be really great for NFT curation creation. And then really that question of how do you go from static to dynamic NFTs, how do you make the history a component of the NFT's value, and then also how do you get NFTs into gaming, video games. We have some great ideas we're going to roll out at the conference, like with Crypto Bison and other things that we think will really showcase a case study and how that's going to be done well. And then it's up to people's imagination. A lot of this is going to be driven by marketplaces. A lot of this is going to be kind of like, remember Beanie Babies or the Pet Rock, or things like they go way up, they go down. But, collectibles
You're aging us,
hot.
Charles. You're aging us.
I'm only 33. Everybody says I pretend to be older, but I remember these things. I remember being a kid and people selling Beanie Babies on the side of the damn road. It was crazy here in Colorado.
It was supposed to be somebody's college fund, but...
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely true in terms of where we potentially could be going in this space. But the regulators, as you've said, are noting with great trepidation, and not necessarily just the U.S. side. I mean, we know that they're taking a look at the art world already, for banking, new Banking Act amendments. And so, of course, this kind of flows into the NFT space. But now we're also hearing from the China side that, China is looking at the NFT space, which has been going great guns because they have kind of been foot off the pedal, or at least foot off the brake there for a little bit, and now starting to apply some pressure as to questioning what is this NFT bubble activity that we're starting to see domestically in China. So you have regulators kind of starting to, hone in on the NFT space. Where does this, how is this all going to shake up in the end, in your view?
Well, generally speaking, regulators get very concerned when there's a case of a lack of visibility over the movement of large amounts of value. So NFTs are problematic because it basically creates this way of creating value out of thin air and then somehow legitimizing money that's dark money. So that's going to get closed up pretty quickly, and there's going to be an application of standard AML and KYC in the transaction flows of NFTs very quickly. The same for all the anonymity coins, the same for a lot of these DeFi applications that we see. But overall, what's exciting about NFTs is it legitimately is a new economy. And like any new economy, you have difficulty valuing and pricing it, but people know there's some value there. And what's so cool about it is that the platforms are becoming so easy to use. They're turnkey. A lot of people are entering this space, like Tom Brady and Gisele Bundchen and all these others. And they're just having so much fun basically doing things that they would have already done, but they did it through specialized agencies and who take 90% of the value, and they just get a license deal or, something like that. And it's old and young, like William Shatner is doing these things. He's almost 90 years old. And then you got, kids who are 15 years old, 14 years old, participating, making fortunes and so forth. So it's just another tool in the toolbox, just like social media is a tool in the toolbox, or Twitter is a tool in the toolbox, for how to run a modern business in the gig economy. And, there'll be overconsumption of it, and eventually people get tired of it, and then it'll scale back a bit. But the NFTs, in my view, that are always going to preserve value are the NFTs that actually require something to create. So this is why I'm so incredibly excited about the emergence of gaming and NFTs together. Because if you look at video games like Diablo 2 is a great example of this. It's an older game from about 20 years back. Blizzard Entertainment created it. There were items in that game that you could only acquire after literally spending hundreds, if not thousands of hours of effort grinding and grinding and grinding. So as a consequence, those actually had real life value. People would sell them on eBay and other things like that, which is just extraordinary if you think about it. It's like you're buying a made up thing. It doesn't exist. It's digital. Well, what if the next generation of that, these Jordan Stones or these things, you'd be able to represent as a token that's transferable, and you actually can sell it, and the game developer can make a profit, a perpetual royalty on it. So then suddenly your full-time job could be on playing EVE Online or World of Warcraft or something like that. There's going to be that whole economy that emerges as a consequence of this. And those have value because they can only be created through a human process where it's like proof of human. There's hundreds of hours of grinding and effort that goes into the construction of that. And then other things like that are connected to certain events where they're minted by very specialized organizations, like commemorating, something like a presidential election or something. And there's only 100 of them or something. That kind of collectible scarcity is always going to have value. Being able to at any time create a tweet or this or that, I just don't see that sustaining itself once regulation comes in and clear out the money laundering industry.
Yeah, I love that phrase and that concept. It is proof of human. We are an embodiment of our own experiences and the productivity that we invest our own time in to output something of value. Hopefully the society, appreciates it, and therefore we have value, right? Gosh, we have talked about a lot of things, but let's, as we wrap this up, because if we could go on forever, and we will do this again, but in your view, what are the top 5 use cases for smart contracts that excite you? I want to hear it. I think our audience wants to hear it. We all want to hear it. What, in your view, the top 5 use cases for smart contracts?
Well, I think the number one use case that's universal for the entire DeFi space is the ability to establish a decentralized identity and build reputation with that identity and use that in a global marketplace. That's like the skeleton key for a lot of derivative things that you enable. So, for example, if you talk about credit only works if you know who you're lending to. They have to have some notion of reputation, and normally we have third-party credit scorers and like Equifax and all these other. It doesn't work very well. Okay, so that's one, is how do you construct identity, build reputation, grow reputation, and so forth. Then when you move beyond that, I think smart contracts are the only real way to create a trustless stablecoin, so an algorithmic stablecoin. We've written a beautiful paper called Dejet, and we're implementing that paper, and we'll talk about it at the conference here in just a few weeks. But basically the idea is that you take something that's volatile, like a cryptocurrency, and a basket of those things, one or more, and there's some magic, you turn the crank, and it creates another asset, and that asset is stable or semi-stable. That's essential for building an economy. You need price predictability with your unit of account in order for it to be an effective means of exchange and a store of value. So that is enabled by smart contracts, and there's already been enormous progress prototypically with things like MakerDAO and so forth, and we're just refining and iterating that, but we're doing it at the speed of entrepreneurship, not the speed of central banks. So that's great. So that second use case is so powerful. Third, I think when you start looking at new economies, new ways of doing business, fractionalized ownership of everything, liquidity with everything, the ability to shrink down any entity. So we normally think of the IPO. It's all $500 million entity, billion-dollar entity. You can do an IPO for a $10 million entity. Just today, I saw that George Church announced a new company called Colossal, and they're trying to bring back the woolly mammoth, and they're raising $15 million. Now, normally, go to venture capitalists and you go do this whole thing. Or now today, you can just select woolly mammoth NFTs because it's a really fucking cool idea. And then some of you wake up and you have $15 million, money ready to go. And wow, so all new kinds of ways to do project financing that are distinctly different and pay royalties and guarantees that are distinctly different and fundamentally change the relationship of the funder and fundee. Even sovereigns, when you talk about sovereign bonds, let's say you're an African country, you have a lot of diaspora, and you want to raise some money to build infrastructure. Well, right now you have to go to Wall Street, and you have bad credit ratings and all these other things. What if you do a primary issuance direct to the citizens of your country who live abroad and have them buy $20, $30 of debt each? And if there's several, like the Philippines, tens of millions that live abroad, you could be every year with these types of instruments raising hundreds of millions of dollars and paying the coupon.
Just don't call it taxes.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go. But it's sovereign debt. At least there's a hope you get paid back for this stuff. So these types of things, the enablement of liquidity at the small all the way up to sovereign scale with completely new ways of raising money. I think that's the third thing that's extremely exciting to me. Wow. And I think that then you look into derivative things of organizational transformation. So we keep saying we're going to run blockchains without a company. Okay, well, that's kind of a collection of protocols and human processes, and it's a product and all these other things. Well, if you can do that, why can't you do a company that way and get rid of the CEO? Get rid of the C-suite and get rid of the board of directors and actually have a bottom-up company, almost like what a co-op is trying to do, right? Yep. But now we can do that on a blockchain. So there's going to be, in my view, 3 to 5 years, and already in Wyoming they passed the Dow law. So there's already legislative progress in this direction, but an evaporation of centralized control of institutions and centralized curation and running of institutions. And I think the fifth thing is transparency. I'm getting damn tired of the government telling me I need to pay more taxes, and then they say at the same breath, we don't owe you anything. We don't owe you any transparency about how we spend the money, what we do with the money. So I said, let me get this straight. You guys lose $85 billion worth of military hardware in Afghanistan to the Taliban, and then you lose all the receipts, and you can't even tell us what you lost there. Conveniently lose these things. Like stuff like that. It just makes me sick. There's no accountability. There's no transparency. There's no oversight. There are these bodies like the Government Accountability Office and FOIA and things. All that shit should be on a blockchain. All of that should be publicly accessible. It should be immutable. It should be time-stamped, auditable, so that we can actually get some transparency on how our money is being used.
True governance, real governance,
and
supported
I think
by technology
are going to be the first use case for that, 501c3 type things. But then you can gradually grow that to the organization. You gradually grow that to the government. So I think those are the 5 use cases that I'm most excited for in the next 3 to 5 years, and we'll get there.
3 to 5 years is a very short timeline based on incredible, but politically a minefield.
Bitcoin was worthless and run it on a laptop 12 years ago. And look at it now. It's $1 trillion ecosystem that has hundreds of millions of people running around. A lot can happen in 5 years.
Well, Charles, I think one thing that no one can deny is that you have seen it, and now you're verbalizing it. You're, Cardano is putting thoughts and vision to paper. We're seeing it now. And it's always interesting to talk to you because none of the ideas that I hear escaping your lips, I've heard anywhere else. So this is really what's exciting. Charles, let's do this again soon. I'm really excited for your event. We're gonna hang out and observe what's happening over there and report it back to our audience. But I'm just going to continuously invite you to hang out with us as you express really what the future of not only Cardano, but really blockchain application can really mean for enterprise and sovereigns. So, Charles, always a pleasure to hang out with you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on, Angie.
Thanks, Charles. And hey, thank you, everyone, for joining us on this latest episode of Word on the Block. I'm Editor-in-Chief of Forecast News, Angie Lau. Until the next time.